Okay, so let's jump right into it. We're taking a deep dive into this crazy snowstorm slamming Ontario right now. Well, you've probably seen the pictures online and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some
Yeah.
parts of the province are just buried in snow. And it's only the end of November. For this deep dive, we're looking at a report from the Canadian Press,
Okay.
and it really paints a picture of just how intense this storm is. Like some places already have almost a meter of snow.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot of snow this early on.
Yeah, it really makes you think, oh, could this be a record-breaking winter?
It's definitely something to watch. You know, heavy snow in November isn't completely unheard of in Ontario,
Right.
but this amount this early in the season and with these strong winds, yeah, it's pretty unusual. I think what's really interesting here is the lake effect snow.
Yeah, I was reading about that on the report. Something about the Great Lakes being warmer than usual this time of year.
Exactly. So the lakes are still relatively warm, and you get these really focused bands of snow forming over them. And these bands basically act like these massive snow cannons, just dumping huge amounts of snow on the areas downwind of the lakes. It's pretty amazing.
So that's why Bracebridge and Sault Ste are getting hit so hard. The report said almost 80 centimeters of snow already. That's like almost 3 feet.
Yeah, and the forecast is calling for another 40 to 50 centimeters on top of that. No wonder they're seeing so many power outages.
Yeah, over 30,000 people without power. So beyond just, not being able to turn on the lights,
Yeah.
what are some of the other challenges people face when the power goes out during a huge snowstorm like this?
Well, I mean, first of all, you got to think about staying warm, right? That's a huge concern, especially for more vulnerable people like older folks or families with young kids.
Right.
And then there's food. If your fridge and freezer are out for a long time, all that food can go bad.
Yeah, true. I hadn't even thought about that.
And then, it's easy to feel isolated too if phone lines are down and roads are blocked because of the snow.
It's kind of scary to think about, actually.
Yeah, it can be really difficult to check on your family or friends or call for help if you need it.
It's like this huge ripple effect, huh?
Right.
The storm impacts everything.
Absolutely.
And speaking of impacts, the report mentioned that Highway 17 is closed between Wawa and Sault Ste. Marie
Oh, wow.
because of whiteout conditions.
Yeah, that's a major highway in the region, not
Yeah.
just an inconvenience either.
Right. What kind of impact can that have on the economy up there?
It's definitely significant. Highway 17 is super important for Northern Ontario. It connects all these different communities, and it's how they transport all sorts of goods and services.
Huh.
So when it's closed like this, it can really mess with supply chains. You start to see shortages of essential things like food and fuel. Even medical supplies could be affected.
Wow.
And of course, businesses really take a hit too, especially those that rely on tourism or transportation. They could lose a lot of money.
So we've got record snowfall, power outages, travel disruptions, and now potential economic fallout.
It's,
It's adding up to be a pretty rough winter so far.
and, we're still early in the season. Environment Canada says this storm should ease up by Sunday.
So at least there's a break coming.
Yeah, it'll be a short one though. The forecast is calling for more snow midweek and then maybe another big lake effect snowstorm next weekend.
Back-to-back snowstorms. Sounds a little intense.
Yeah, it's not ideal.
So what's causing all this snow? Is it just bad luck, or is there something else going on?
Well, there are a few factors at play here. One is this La Nina pattern in the Pacific Ocean.
Okay, I've heard of that.
Yeah, it tends to bring colder temperatures and more snow across Canada.
So we can blame La Nina.
Partially, yeah. But also remember, the Great Lakes are still pretty warm, and that warm water creates a lot of moisture, which fuels these lake effect snowstorms.
So basically, La Nina is making things cold, and the Great Lakes are adding all the moisture for the snow.
Exactly. And then, of course, you've got these unpredictable weather systems moving across the continent that can add to the mix.
So it's like a perfect storm for snow. All right, well, we've talked a lot about the immediate impact of this storm, but what about the bigger picture? What does this much snow this early in the season mean for the long term?
That's a really good question. It really makes you think about how prepared we are for these kinds of events,
Right.
especially as climate change is potentially causing more and more extreme weather. Are our communities ready to handle these huge snowstorms? Is our infrastructure strong enough? And are our emergency response systems up to the task?
So what can people do to stay safe and informed during these storms?
Well, staying informed is key, right? Make sure you're getting your information from reliable sources like Environment Canada. And it's always a good idea to have an emergency kit ready with essentials like food, water, warm clothing, a flashlight, things like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And of course, avoid any unnecessary travel during the storm. And if you can make sure your home is properly insulated to help keep the heat in,
Good advice.
yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully it helps people stay safe and warm.
Okay, so let's recap. We've got record snowfall, power outages, travel disruptions, and the potential for even more snow in the coming days. It's a lot to take in.
It is. But we can learn from these situations and become better prepared for the future. By understanding what causes these storms and taking steps to prepare, we can weather these snowy times more effectively.
Definitely some good food for thought as we head into winter. And if you want all the details on this storm, be sure to check out the full report from the Canadian Press. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Stay warm and stay safe out there.
Stay safe.